Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Bloom the Podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode. I'm your host, Donovan. I'm here with my co-host, Ashley.
Sup?
And we are back in the Bloom studio, y'all. We are back with our last episode of 2020. Can you believe that?
Nope, I can't.
2020 has been the longest year of probably most of our lives, but also the fastest year.
Yeah.
And this is going to be episode 34. So we've done weekly episodes for 34 weeks. We've been going strong, y'all, since April. It's been crazy to do the podcast. It's been super fun. I love it so much. I hope you guys are loving it as well. But yeah, to kind of sum up the year, we thought it would be fun to kind of do a year in review of 2020, talk about some of the highlights, lowlights, things we struggled with, things we learned, and then maybe talk a little bit about our goals heading into the new year. I don't know, I'm not big on like New Year's resolutions, but I think it could be a fun time to just kind of talk about some goals for the next year. I mean, it's never a bad time to start thinking of some, more things that we want to do and how we want to be better for the next year. So I'll pass it off to you. We'll start on the low end and then we'll end on a high note. So what were some of the harder parts about 2020 for you, apart from, I guess, the obvious, but what were some of the things that, either things that you learned, things that you went through? What were some of the hardships, I guess you could say, of 2020? Some of the lowlights rather than highlights.
Right. Well, I think just for me, there was a lot of stuff leading up to getting married that was hard. I mean, that's always a whole thing. But as far as kind of recent, it's been really hard, actually. I'm planning my tiny baby little wedding, with family and a couple friends, and that's been really hard to plan in a time like this. So I'm very emotionally woo, every time a new what's it called,
roadblock
a new roadblock comes up for COVID, and they're like, psych. So I've just been okay, how am I gonna make this work? And that's been I've had to learn to I've realized that I'm not trusting God and not praying about things that are making me anxious. I'm just trying to reason and be it'll be fine. That's my go-to. But it's not oh, it might not be fine, but I'll be fine because I'm taking it to God. It's totally not that. It's just been me being oh, I've got this, even though I really don't got this.
Right.
So I think that's kind of been a low, and just figuring out always a whole job situation after getting married and stuff is always fun, switching around. So just basic things like that. But I think that's probably the lesson I've learned from those trials is just I need to come to God and bring those things to him. And then I've been totally pumping productivity. That's my jam right now. How can we be productive? But I also am man, Bible time needs to be number one on the list. And so
Absolutely.
I'm still trying to get that at the top of my productivity list, which was cool because I actually listened to a message today that was saying when we're being unproductive and spending our time on useless things, that we don't realize that it's sin that we're doing that, when we're sitting at home doing literally everything else but what we should be doing.
Yeah, we're not being good stewards of our time.
Exactly. And so I was just man, that's a real kicker. So I plan on living by that going into the new year, just thinking on those things, what is actual productivity,
Yeah, I would second a lot of that. I mean, I think one of the big things for me in 2020 was just dealing with my own thought life. And with everything going on, I tended to be very downcast for a lot of the beginning of the year. A lot of things didn't go the way that I anticipated them going, and therefore I would be disappointed rather than looking to the Lord for either the guidance or, for that peace, instead of looking to what I perceive to be results or outcomes. I mean, obviously 2020 probably didn't go how anybody expected it to go. So, whether it be a loss of a job or, friendships or relationships not going the way that you anticipate or whatever it may be, there's just a lot of ups and downs with life, especially this year. So that was one of the big things for me. And then also, like you, productivity has been a big one as well. Just with as much time as we've had at home, it's hard to like make sure you're being productive with it, because you're like, oh, I have more time to sleep.
Yeah.
Instead of like, no, you have more time to do good or to do something productive.
It's like more time to waste is what we end up doing.
That's basically how it started for me. Yeah. And for those of you that don't know, I actually lost my job in the beginning of the pandemic, like in May. Right. I have a job now. Thank you, Jesus. But like when I lost my job in May, I was like, well, guess I can wake up at 11 now and it's all good. And it's like, after like a week or two of doing that, I just felt like gross and like disgusted with myself. And I was like, this can't go on. So me and my friend Jason, we started getting up. We started like working out twice a day. We just started like trying to like make the time go by, but in a way that we weren't just letting our lives drift by the wayside.
And you're setting habits too,
Right.
So
yeah. And also, like you said, Bible reading is one of those things that's really, again, with as much time as we have, it still ends up finding its way, not happening in the day, like, or way later than it should, or something.
You're doing like a 20-minute Bible time, but you have like 5-hour marathon on Netflix.
Right. You can binge, watch a show in 2 days, but you can't read for more than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rough.
It really is. So those are just some of the things that I was thinking about as well. And just really keeping the Lord number one, because, and I've talked about this on a couple of the past episodes, but if the Lord is number one in our lives, then all those other things like reading the word and praying and doing all those things are going to come more naturally to us. I think if you are starting every day with a genuine love for the Lord, you're going to want to be in your word. You're going to want to be praying. And, going into 2021, that is the main thing that I want to kind of set the tone for the year. Not really for like personal goals like I would for almost any other year, but really to have the Lord number one in my life, and have whatever comes around it, I'm okay with it, because the Lord's obviously allowing that.
Right. Yeah, I definitely think that's good.
Yeah. But apart from lowlights, what were some like highlights for you? Obviously you got married, which is crazy.
Yeah, that was definitely the highlight of 2020 for me.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. Just like, I don't know, like getting to go on a honeymoon and stuff, even still with the pandemic, was awesome. Like there's so many things I didn't get to have, but there's many things I did get to have. So like, yeah, can't complain, and like I'm just really thankful like that we're married during this time. Yeah. Like I keep thinking like, oh, if we weren't married, this would be disastrous, what I'm saying? Like so much stress, but it's been really cool to be able to have that. And now I'm at a job that I'm liking, whereas like I was saying, it was really hard before to find a job that I actually liked. Like I'm very much a person who becomes very depressed if I'm at a job that's like
draining.
Yeah, I like literally like shut down, because I'm already a stressed person. So working in an environment that makes me uncomfortable makes me 10 times worse than normal.
Yeah.
So I found a job that I liked. So I just felt like, like things are going up, and like, I mean, we can look at our life before the pandemic, like when the gyms were open and all this stuff, and like we were doing all these like awesome things. But now I'm kind of just like in the mindset like, okay, like life isn't that bad. You know what I'm saying? Like even though we're missing some of those like parts of it, like I'm just like so thankful for like the things I've gained during the pandemic that I might not have gained if actually this pandemic didn't happen, like you don't know. Like me and Nikki could have still been dating if this pandemic didn't like push things along. So it's just, it's been really cool.
That's great. Yeah, same. I think the Lord is just he's just so gracious with the things that he gives us, even when we think that have all these things that got taken away. Mm-hmm. Like, even though, like I said, I lost my job, in a time where it was super difficult to even find a job, he blessed me with 2. Mm-hmm. And I look at stuff like that and I'm just like, I don't deserve any of that. Like, mm-hmm. the Lord is just gracious. And, another thing I've just been super grateful for is just the church that I've been going to. Mm. I started going to CBC right before the pandemic. Like, I went like 3, maybe 4 times mm-hmm. before everything got moved to live stream. And like, I loved it the first time that I was going. I was like, man, I gotta make sure I'm going there. And then once everything got moved to live stream, I was like really like upset, because I was like, man, this is not what I was anticipating as far as getting involved in a new church. But I mean, the stuff opened up back in June and I was able to continue going. And I feel like I've just grown so much being at this church. The pastor is amazing. Shout out to Patrick. We'll have to get him on the podcast for sure.
We always do a shout out to Patrick.
Shout out to Patrick. And just everyone at CBC. It's just such a great, loving group of people. And just the relationships I've had with the people there, they're just so encouraging. And even through all the pandemic and all this stuff, they're always just so encouraging to me and reaching out and like seeing how you're doing. And mm-hmm. the Bible studies are great, and the books I go through are great as well. And it's just like, it really that carried me through this whole mm-hmm. year, because I think without those relationships, I would have been in a lot different headspace, mm-hmm. Spiritually and just, practically.
Mentally.
Right.
Everyone mentally is like, ooh.
Right. Yeah. Because I just look forward to Wednesdays where I go to study. I look forward to Sundays. And it's just, I'm thankful to the Lord that he gave me or allowed me to stumble upon such a good church. And right. I didn't even really stumble upon it, honestly. AJ told me to go.
Right.
But either way, I'm there now, and it's just such a blessing. Yeah. And then also just the podcast is just a super fun hobby. I never would have imagined myself doing something like this before. But here we are, 34 episodes in, and it's been super dope. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think as far as highlights, those are definitely some of the ones that rank atop. And you know what, as well, I think family, just having an appreciation for the people in your life, like, mm-hmm. especially for family. Because, a lot of time during this whole time, like, family is one of the few people you actually get to see. And, the family that we have, like, it's just such a blessing to be a part of it, whether it's hang out with like dinners, or watching movies or whatever the heck it is. It's just always something, and it's something to distract you mm-hmm. from everything that's going on out there.
Right. And it's just like, it'll probably be different once everyone's like married and people are moving, yeah. So it's just like nice to like appreciate the time where we can actually be here together.
Yeah. And it's just, like you said, you never know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Everyone's trying to figure out what's going to be best for them, and everyone's trying to, make moves and like further their lives, whether that's having kids or, Aaliyah's got Judah and, all that. And it's just people are, living their lives. So you never know when it's going to be the last time that everyone's like all in one place doing one thing as a family. So just having a lot of times like that during the pandemic and during 2020 as a whole, I think was super encouraging. And it's important not to take those kinds of things for granted, because you have a lot of people that haven't got to see their families, or people are in hospitals, or whatever the heck is going on in this crazy year. Mm-hmm. To be able to have health and have the family around, and just be able to have that blessing is huge.
Right.
Yeah. Sure. But before we jump into our goals for 2020, y'all, we're going to do our little sparkling ice ad just so we can see if we can get a sponsorship by the end of the year.
That's the goal for 2020. That's
my goal.
2021. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be writing 2020.
Making a mess, yo.
I know.
Yeah, 2021, y'all. Sparkling Ice, see this, sponsor us for all of 2021.
Make our dreams come true.
Yes. Gotta love Sparkling Ice, y'all. Make sure you guys tag them below. But jumping right back into the episode, 2021 is fast approaching. It's fast approaching.
Yes.
And a lot of times people make New Year's resolutions. I don't know if we're going to do any New Year's resolutions today on this episode, but, heading into 2021, almost at 2020, what are some things that you kind of want to implement? What are some things that you want to do? What are some goals that you have? What's on tap for you going into this next year?
Right. So I have like a section for like actual things I want to do, and then a section for things that are more like mindset.
That's my job. You can't be voice cracking. That's me.
Oh my gosh. Help. Okay, so as far as like actual like taking action, I think for me, obviously, like I said, I want to make it where I can at least, like, it would be so awesome to have a good like 45 minutes of Bible time every day. Like, that would be smoking. And like, I'd love to be able to push myself to get up early in the morning to do it, because that's the thing. I want to get in a habit of doing it early, because if I just get in the habit of doing it every day at random times, then when I actually get busy, it won't happen.
You know what one of my friends actually told me? This is actually, shout out to Carlos. He's the one that told me this. He was saying sometimes when he's in a rut with like reading his Bible, he'll go to like a specific place, like not in his house. So he had this like park that he went to where he would go there every day in the morning to read his Bible, and like kind of like training his brain to understand, like, when I go to this place, this is the action that I'm going to do.
And you're not going to drive to a place to only read for 5 minutes, so that's a good idea.
Right. And I was like, I got to try that, because there's some times where I need that extra push.
Right. Yeah, I think that's actually a really good tip. So yeah, definitely a way better Bible time. And then I can't say too much detail, but I will be trying to start a business, and coming up with my own product. Check out my Instagram for deets and updates this upcoming year, because I have some ideas and my husband is all helping me out and doing his research, and it's going to be awesome. So that's also another one of my goals. And just to like really up my wifey game, like there's just like so many things that like I want to learn how to cook better and like make really fun meals, and like I love the idea of having a set schedule every day, like these people who make these specific drinks every morning when they get up and go for a run at this specific spot at this exact time, like I would love to do that for me and Nikki, because I know if I, like, being the at-home wife, I know that if I set that tone for us, then it'll get done, because like Nikki's working or doing school and stuff, I have to be the one to be like, hey, like, we're gonna eat these specific foods, or like work out or do this at this time, and like set a schedule. So I'm really hoping I can do that. And actually, this year we are moving. Well, this next year, upcoming year.
Like, wait a minute.
We are moving, so that'll be a whole nother adventure. Yeah. And I'll be getting used to being at home while I'll have a job, but being at home somewhat while Nikki's actually working, because he'll be finished with college. Yeah. So it'll just be a whole different like married life vibe than I had before. Yeah. So I'm like really excited to like see how it goes, but my main goals are to do those things I just said, and as far as like mentally, my whole other section, I think for me during this very great 2020, I feel like I had a lot of trials happen, where I have noticed I've become a very like negative person, like especially when it comes to people. My instant thought is honestly, like, this is a real podcast, to be like negative. I don't have like, I don't see, I don't know how to explain it. I don't have like high hopes for people. Like I'm always like, oh, like they're just like, you know, gonna like disappoint, or like they're
you don't
gonna
believe the best.
Yeah, I don't believe the best, and that's like, I don't know. I feel like I've had a lot of experiences where I just feel like I've like been like really let down by people around me.
We'll have to do a separate episode on that, because that's actually really interesting, and that's something I've dealt a lot with too, this year included, and years before that. But I think it's very easy to have a negative outlook on other people, and it's something you have to battle because we're not that great ourselves. So we have to really have that humility and be like, okay, you know, we're all on the same playing field here.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just been like something I want to focus on, like positivity and like just not being bitter, you know, like holding bitter feelings towards things that have happened, or like, you know, like experiences I've had, or just holding bitter feelings towards people in general because of things that have happened with other people. You know, like it's just hard to like clear the slate and be like, everyone is very different, and like, you know, like I don't want to go in only seeing people's flaws because of the flaws someone else had. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like being like, oh, this person's just like them because they did this. You know what I'm saying? Like I just want to have a more positive outlook on everything. And so hopefully with this new year and being in my word, that will definitely help me accomplish that. So those are my main goals for 2021.
Beautiful. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna copy you, actually. I'm gonna do the 2 sections.
All right.
So we have, what did you say? It was
like things you actually want to accomplish that are like active and mentally.
Active and mental. So we'll start with the active. So first, obviously, the podcast, the show must go on, people. We are gonna hit 2021 just as hard as we hit 2020. So don't stop looking for us now. We're gonna go even harder.
Right.
So that's one thing. But on a more serious note, Bible reading, that's definitely something I want it to just be better at. Because even when I'm in consistent grooves of doing it early, because I can get up early, like I don't have a problem doing it. Mm-hmm. It's just how intentful is my time.
Right.
And I found when I do push myself to get up early and get in a regimen, even when I do read my Bible, it's like, and we kind of talked about this with AJ, it's like checking off that box.
Right.
Just so I can get onto the next thing with my morning routine. Mm-hmm. And I really want to prioritize just diving deep into the Word and training myself to get as much as I can every time, not just reading it to read it.
Right.
Because we're not doing ourselves any favors if we open the book but don't gain anything from it. Mm-hmm. So I really want to make it a practice to be in the Word, be memorizing the Word, having it at the front of my mind, and just making the most of my time, and to couple that with praying. I find that I have a one-sided conversation a lot of times. Either I'm praying a lot and I'm not reading the Word, so that I'm not getting any of His response.
That's me too.
Or I'm reading the Word, but I'm not praying.
Yeah.
And it's like you've got to have both in order to just be really building your relationship with the Lord. So I want to couple the intentionality of Bible reading with fervently praying. And like the Bible says, to pray without ceasing. I really want that to be a staple in my life. And I don't really want to wait for 2021 for that to happen. I'm trying to implement that as soon as I can. But just as a whole, just going into the year, I want that to be something that really shapes how my year looks, because I think that'll make me have a drastically different year as far as my spiritual growth and my spiritual walk. Mm-hmm. And also I just want to just continue to be in shape, because I was in and out of shape all of 2020. Like I think this is one of the better shapes I've been in, just from a stamina and like
you need a workout buddy, you know, so you gotta you have to do it. Maybe I should work out with you because I need to work out.
I mean, because I just started doing boxing with Jeremiah.
Oh, that's fun.
And that, man, I'm still sore, guys. My arms, they're jello right now. But yeah, just keeping up, being active and eating healthy, cutting out like excess sugars and all that stuff, I think is good to do. Also, I want to get back into my magic stuff, because doing street magic in a pandemic is really weird, guys. It's not very conducive.
Don't come near there.
Right. 6 feet apart magic tricks. It's weird. But I'm going to get back into it. I'm going to be posting more videos on my page. So if you guys follow me, you'll be seeing more of that. Right. More photography stuff. Just more creative stuff that I like to do. I want to start actually putting it out, because I have so many ideas, but I don't often act on them. So I want to just kind of just shotgun my way through all the ideas that I have, and really just put myself out there for all the things that I enjoy doing. So I hope you guys all are willing to join me on that ride, because it's going to be fun, I think.
Right.
And then on the more mental aspects of things, I can definitely couple with what you said.
I figured. I was like, sometimes me and him sound real similar.
Yeah. And I mean, there's been stuff that I've been through that kind of shapes the way I think about things and about people, and it's not always right.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's not. And kind of just stepping back and really filtering all my thoughts through that biblical filter, and trying to have a God-centered outlook on life, not a me-centered outlook on life.
Right.
Will change the way that I look at other people, the way I look at authority, leadership, people around me, because that's one thing also I want to do a podcast on, that is interacting with leadership in church, because that's something that I've had a hard time with in the past. And it's been one of those things that I've been trying to get over. And another thing about just going to CBC, the leadership there has just encouraged me a lot, and that's kind of helped me break some of those barriers that I had. So I'm really thankful to the Lord for that, but really just working on furthering that more, and trusting the people that the Lord puts in your life to lead you.
Right.
And because that's been a big thing. Trying to think what else. Those are really the main ones that come to mind. But also, I guess the last thing would just be, having not a negative self-talk dialogue to yourself. I don't want to limit
self-love. I'm kidding.
No, I mean more in the sense of hindering myself from doing the things that I think that I can do, and the things that I think I can achieve, because of fear or doubt or anxiety or any of those things. Pray about it.
Self-negativity.
Yeah. Really passing those things to the Lord, as far as the fears, anxiety, and all that.
Right.
And really just allowing myself to, do what the Lord has me do the things that I desire to do, and, do them all with an attitude that glorifies the Lord, and, really focusing on that rather than all the negative self-talk that sometimes that I can do to myself. It's not always helpful.
Right.
But yeah, those are really the things that I'm working on headed into 2021.
That's cool. Yeah, I actually just thought of a couple more, because I was like,
go for
dang.
it. Yeah.
No, I was thinking, I have been, for those of you who don't know, I'm an old lady. I have many things wrong with my joints. So I have totally whack knees, both of them completely whack, and then I have a hip impingement, which makes my life very difficult. So when it comes to working out and being all pumped to do that, I might be limping the next day. So it's kind of like a give. So I am in physical therapy for both those things, so twice a week or whatever. So I'm hoping that in the new year, hopefully a lot of my pain and a lot of just my holding back, will be gone, that I'll get myself into the exact shape I need to be through physical therapy. And that reminded me that I actually was talking to Nikki, and I was like, dude, I should pick up a ballet class just once a week, because ballet is literally such a good workout, and it's really good stretching, and I'm supposed to stretch a lot with my hip and all that stuff. So and I miss dancing. I love dancing. So
that's how I felt about magic. I miss it. I miss doing it, practicing it, being out doing it for people.
Exactly. So even if it's just a side hobby, it's at least you're still having it in your
50,000 side hobbies.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. So that was just something I thought of. I was like, dude, that'd be really cool if I could pick that up as kind of a side workout thing too. That's actually good for me, you know?
Yeah.
And also I was thinking of the business that I'm starting. I was just thinking, actually, as I was talking about Nikki going to school and how I wouldn't be home because I was working, but I was like, wait, I totally just realized that me and Nikki have been talking about this business for like a while. And if I can pull this off, which hopefully I can, I actually probably wouldn't have to go to work. I'd be working from home with the business that I'm doing. Yeah. So that would be like a whole like game changer, working from home, and also like being able to like be a wife and work at home is like,
that'd be ideal.
That is fabulous. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can do laundry in between your meeting, whatever it is. So just stuff like that, like really exciting stuff. That'd just be really cool. So just thought I'd throw that in there.
Absolutely. Well, guys, it's been fun talking about this. And 2020, even though it's been crazy, it's been all in all a good year if you have the right perspective.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're excited to head into 2021 with the same attitude of gratitude. That's what we're gonna call it. And, you know, let us know in the comments, what are your guys' goals for 2021? What are some of the things you guys learned, some of the things you guys went through? We're more than wanting to hear what you guys have to say about it. So DM us, leave comments, whatever it is. Let us know what you guys went through 2020 and what you guys are looking to do through 2021. Don't forget to follow us to see what we're going to be up to in this new year, as we've got a lot of goals and things that we want to do. So make sure you stay tuned for all of that, as well as subscribing to this podcast, because we're not slowing down. Weekly episodes every Wednesday. We're going to be back first Wednesday of January. We're dropping another episode. So it's going down. Make sure you guys subscribe, stay tuned, and we'll see you guys on the next one.